Okay, so in today's video, we're going to talk about characteristics of quadratic functions. The axis of symmetry is a line that divides the quadratic function in half so that both sides are a reflection of each other. The equation of the line of symmetry is x equals h, where h is the x coordinate of the vertex. So before we've seen h as the horizontal shift where it was either moving left or right. So when it moves the graph left or right on a quadratic function, it is part of the vertex. So number one wants me to graph this equation and then label the vertex and axis of symmetry. So what I'm going to go do is I am going to go to Desmos and I am going to type this in like I see it. Remember, f of x just means it's like a name of the function. So I have typed it in. So what I'm going to go do is I am going to sketch this on my paper. So if I notice on the Desmos, it has a vertex at -3, 4. That is remember, the point where everything is coming from. And then it is crossing the y or the x-axis at kind of weird spots, but it's going down. This one doesn't need me to do it perfectly, so I'm just going to do my best sketch of it going down. So if you look back at my paper, this is what I have. It wants me to label my vertex. So remember, this is -3, 4. And then the axis of symmetry is that dashed line right there, and it's going to be x equals -3. So it's the x value of my vertex. Okay. When we are given a quadratic equation in the standard form, f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c, we find the axis of symmetry by using this formula, x equals -b over 2a. So to find the vertex, we are going to plug in the value that we get for a, and that will give us the y value of our quadratic equation. So what I want to do here is I want to go ahead and plug into this equation. So remember, it goes a, b, c. b includes the negative for the 6. So I'm going to plug this in. I have x equals negative from the formula, then -6 from my b value, over 2 times my a value of 3. -6 gives me a +6. 2 times 3 gives me 6. So I get 1 for my x value. Then what I want to do is I want to go ahead and plug that back in to the original equation I got. So I'm going to write the original equation in red and then what I'm plugging in blue. Okay, so everywhere there is an x, I am replacing it with 1. Then I'm going to go ahead and continue. So on the left side, this is going to stay f of 1. All this is saying is I am plugging 1 into the equation. That's what the left side means. Then on the right side, I am going to simplify. I have 1 squared, which is 1. -6 times 1, which is 6. -6, and then plus 4. Where did that 4 come from? It should be a +1. Okay. Then what I want to do next is I want to keep simplifying. So I have f of 1 equals 3 times 1 is 3. -6 plus 1 is -5. And I want to combine some more. I have f of 1 equals -2. So what this means is my vertex is 1, -2. I'm going to go right 1, down 2. And then because I have a positive a value, it's going to open up. And then my axis of symmetry is going to be here at x equals 1. So I'm going to draw a line off to the side with my vertex. This was 1, -2. Okay. We can also be given the equation of a quadratic function in intercept form. So this is when it's written out like f of x equals a times x minus p times x minus q. The way I find my vertex here is I take x equals p plus q, so opposite the signs of what is in the parentheses, and I add them together and then divide by 2 to get the x value. And then just like before with number 2, I am going to plug into the equation to find my y value. So over here, I am going to take, this is my p value and this is my q value, but remember they're opposite signs. So I'm going to have -3 plus +1 divided by 2 for my x value of my vertex. This is going to give me -2/2, which gives me -1. Then I want to go ahead and plug that back into the equation. So just like before, I'm going to do the equation in red and the stuff I'm plugging in blue. Okay. I'm plugging in -1. So what I want to do first is I want to do the math inside the parentheses. I still have the -2 out front. -1 plus 3 is 2. -1 minus 1 is -2. Then I want to multiply all three of these numbers together. So -2 times 2 is -4 times -2 is +8. My vertex is -1, 8. Then it wants to know the x-intercepts. The x-intercepts are the opposite numbers of the numbers in parentheses. So it's going to be x equals -3 and x equals +1 for my x-intercepts. These are where it's crossing the x-axis and it's, remember, opposite the sign of the parentheses. So I will go mark those two on my graph. And -1, 8 is right here. And then I will connect my points. And then my axis of symmetry, remember, goes through my vertex, and that's going to be x equals -1. Okay, so what I want you guys to do is I want you to take a few minutes to pause the video and work on the practice problems down below. I will wait a few seconds to give you time to pause, and then I will continue on with that. Okay. What I want to do on this one is I am going to actually graph this by using the Desmos. So I am going to type this one in. Okay, so this one, my vertex is at -4, -2. And then it is opening down. So if I go back to my paper, this is what the graph looks like. The axis of symmetry is here at x equals -4. And my vertex, I'm going to draw an arrow with a line to it, is at -4, +2. Okay. For number 5, this one I am using the formula x equals -b/2a. So I want to go ahead and label them. I have a is 0.5, b is the -4, and c is the -2. C is not important for this formula. I have x equals -4 over 2 times my a value of 0.5. -4 is +4. 2 times a half is 1. 4 divided by 1 is 4. Now that I have my x value of the vertex, I want to go ahead and plug it into that equation. So I'm going to write the original equation in 1 and everything I am replacing in red and everything that I am replacing in blue. Remember, the f of notation is just saying that I've plugged in 4 for the function, and then on the right side of the equation, all the x's have been replaced with the 4. So the first thing I want to do here is I want to square my 4. 4 squared is 16. Over here I have negative 4 times 4, which is negative 16 minus 2. Then I want to keep combining. I have 0.5 times 16, so a half times 16, which is 8. Negative 16 minus 2, which is negative 18. 8 minus 18 is negative 8. So my vertex here is 4, negative 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then it has a positive a value, so that means that's opening up. My vertex is 4, negative 8. And then my axis of symmetry is x equals 4. Okay, then I want to go ahead and move on to the last one. This is the one where I'm using p plus q divided by 2. And remember, p and q are opposite the signs inside the parentheses. So p is 4, q will be negative 2. I have 4 minus 2 over 2. 4 minus 2 is 2. Divided by 2 is 1. Then I want to go ahead and plug back in. I'm going to write my original equation in red, and what I'm plugging in blue. So I am just plugging in a regular one. I want to do the math inside the parentheses first. So left side stays the same because that's just telling me what I plugged in. The negative 1/3 stays the same because I am working with the parentheses. 1 minus 4 is negative 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. Then I want to go ahead and multiply. Negative 1/3 times negative 3 is positive 1, times 3 is 3. So my vertex here is 1, 3. And then my x-intercepts are, remember, the opposite of the numbers inside the parentheses. So I'm going to have an x-intercept at 4. And I'm going to have an x-intercept at negative 2. And then I want to connect my points. And then to label my axis of symmetry, it goes through my vertex. That's going to be x equals 1. This is a negative 2. That didn't come out quite right. There we go.